The Spurs have pulled it off, and there will be a 7th game.
The Celtics are going to win. There's a game 7.
Nothing easy. Nothing easy. We're going to game 7, baby. Game 7. Game 7.
Green blocked by Bosch. Game over. There'll be a game 7.
7 fingers indicating there will be a game 7.
The best 2 words in sports. Game 7.
Game 7.
Yes, indeed. We've got a Game 7, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening and welcome to Carving It Up Live right here on YouTube, as well as on Facebook, Twitch, X, and on Instagram. I am Bryson Carver. Great to be with you on this Friday. And I got to say, I knew we would be reacting to Game 6 coming into tonight's show, with the hype going into last night. And either we have an OKC Knicks final set or we have a Game 7 Saturday night. I did not think, that we'd have a couple interesting NFL topics. The Minnesota Vikings situation with Kyler Murray, JJ McCarthy just gets more and more fascinating by the day. JJ McCarthy really put his foot in his mouth. We'll get to that. AJ Brown, some potential trade rumors that might not be going in the New England Patriots direction after it looked like AJ Brown to New England was an inevitability. Good football topics and who the Knicks want to play in the finals. That's what we got the Knicks in the show today as well. But an SGA topic, and I'm about to do something in about, I'd say 10 minutes or so, that I don't think I've ever done in the history of this show. So stay tuned. About 10 minutes from now, we'll talk SGA. But let's start with the San Antonio Spurs, who won last night. But first, San Antonio, as I thought they would force a Game 7 last night, and they did so in dominant fashion, at one point going in a 20-0 scoring run in the third quarter. And Victor Wembanyama, who faced a lot of criticism, and rightfully so, was not good in Game 6, or rather in Game 5. 4-15 for the field, 20 points, didn't play very well. I knew he'd be more aggressive. I knew that right off the bat, he would try and make a statement, and that's exactly what he did. Wemby, 28-point double-double, 28 points, 10 rebounds, 10 blocks, 10 of 21 from the field, 4 of 9 from 3, and 4 of 4 from the free throw line. He showed variance. He was able to knock down his threes. He was able to score inside at a decent level, really agnostic of who was guarding him. Wemby was sensational, and I think, there was a lot of talk going into Game 6 about not whether the Spurs could win. That wasn't yeah, of course I could win a home Game 6 to force a decisive Game 7 in OKC, but rather, is Victor Wembanyama, who prior to this postseason had played 1 regular season game in his career over 40 minutes. The Spurs have been notoriously conservative with how they manage his minutes load, which by and large I think is smart. I think it allows Wemby to play his best basketball in these biggest games. But there's also the element of, okay, once your minutes inevitably come up during the postseason, once you're relied upon more, are those consistent performances at such a young age, 22, in your first playoff run, are they going to come consecutively? And I think the fact that San Antonio, a couple of things. Number one, Wemby only had to play 28 minutes. Number two, part of the reason he had to play 28 minutes, he was great last night, but you had Devin Vassell. I believe it's Devin Vassell, right? Step off the bench. Was it Vassell? No, not Devin Vassell. Dylan Harper, I apologize. Dylan Harper, who looked healthier, came back last night, played well. You had Stephon Castle step up. You had the role guys for the San Antonio Spurs playing elite basketball. It's an element of, okay, and we know the role players are better at home. We understand that. And vice versa for OKC. J-Dub, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I don't think J-Dub is even close to healthy. I think that was a mistake by OKC to play him at all. That hamstring did not look right. But the role players for OKC aren't going to be as good on the road, say for Game 3, I should say. And then for San Antonio, the role guys are going to step up at home. But if you're a Spurs fan, you should feel absolutely over the moon about your team's chances to win a Game 7. Is that we hear all of these streaks all the time. If there's a favorite coming into a big playoff series about this team has never done this, and it's a negative stat or something that they haven't done in a positive sense, lose back-to-back games like these Thunder have. Hey, Thunder, last 2 postseasons have not lost consecutive games. Doesn't it always seem like streaks like that tend to break when we always say pressure creates diamonds, pressure breaks pipes, I should say. That's the kind of situation that the San Antonio Spurs and OKC Thunder find themselves in, where San Antonio, let's be honest, by and large, kind of playing with house money. If they go out in Game 7, it's man, Wemby took that MVP level. He finished third for MVP. Wemby took that big-time level jump to be an MVP candidate. The Spurs are ahead of schedule. They forced the defending champions to a Game 7. Wemby at the big Game 1. San Antonio's future couldn't be more bright. Dylan Harper's going to get better. Stephon Castle's going to get better. De'Aaron Fox has had kind of an up-and-down series, more so down. You expect him to be better next year. Mitch Johnson showed himself to be a solid coach. They're in good shape. OKC, you're the defending champions. You've already faced 2 Game 7s going back to last year. To your credit, you crushed the Denver Nuggets in the second round. And we all know last year, NBA Finals, I'm not one of those people who just believes it's a foregone conclusion that had Tyrese Halliburton not blown his Achilles that they would have beaten OKC. But it obviously would have been closer, especially if Hallie had started that game. It's like, oh, who knows what we could have been for? We could have been in for an all-time NBA Finals Game 7. Unfortunately, we'll never know. They're facing a situation against a team in their weight class. And OKC, we talk about teams that are trying to become a dynasty. I got to say, for a team that is hoping to be that, and I'm not saying they can't, they really struggle to close out teams in their weight class. Like when you've got the other team on the ropes, knock them out immediately. And Game 6 against Denver last year, if you remember that game, disastrous second half. Game 6 at Indiana, they got blown out. Had a chance to win a championship, blown out. And then last night, by the way, a game that wasn't like it just got away from the Thunder right off the bat. It was a close game. The Spurs were up 7, and I thought, man, San Antonio's playing quite well. Wemby's got his game going, and they're up 7. Like, I remember watching that game, like, God, if OKC kind of locks in defensively, this could get a little interesting. And instead, San Antonio locks in. SGA misses some shots. All the role guys for OKC cannot buy one. I think they at one point they ended up missing like 13 or 14 straight. 20-0 run for the Spurs, and that was that. We have a Game 7. If you're a Spurs fan, you love the defense. We know defense travels. You love the fact that Victor Wembanyama, what do we know about Wemby? Is that, and I remember this was a conversation going into the playoffs. Man, this is Wemby's first postseason, and at some point we assume he's going to face an elimination game, which he did last night and he will tomorrow. Will he be ready? Will the pressure be a little too much for Wemby? Okay. And I feel like I'm the only person that remembers this. And it's why I'm really nervous for Team USA in 2028. Do we not remember Team USA, France, gold medal game 2024 Olympics? Remember the game Steph Curry hits the 4 straight threes, goes on the greatest Olympic run of all time? Do we not remember that the Avengers, led by Steph, Bron, KD, Joel Embiid, all these guys, are playing a France team where it's Wemby, Rudy Gobert, and then like, no disrespect to these guys, but Nick Batum, Frank Ntilikina, Yabusele, like all fine players to varying degrees, nowhere near Wemby's level. Did you know Wemby led both teams in scoring? Did you know if not for the stretch that Steph Curry went on, France might very well have won that basketball game? So we know Wemby steps up at the biggest moments. Gold medal game 2024, Game 6 last night. And I got to admit, what tends to happen in these Game 7s, more often than not, is that you can have the best team, you can have home court advantage, you can have the pedigree on your side, which Oklahoma City does, the defending champions. But if the other team is the best player on the floor, and let's be honest, they do. Look at the series. We'll get to Shai in a minute. Wemby's been the far better player. He's averaging 4 points a game on significantly better shooting in this series. He's been sensational. By and large, I don't think this is remotely close in terms of him and SGA. We'll get to SGA in a moment. But if you had the best player in a Game 7, the best defensive player in a Game 7, man, that's scary. And that ignites a certain type of fear. Those OKC fans, a lot of them were there for Game 1. They saw what this man did. They saw this guy pulling up from where Steph Curry pulled up, as you can see behind me, 10 years ago. Except this one was in a Western Conference Finals game. They saw him with these putback dunks, swatting guys' shots out of bounds. Like, there's that fear that goes in, like, oh, crap. If it's close in the fourth quarter, OKC fans won't admit it, but they know, even if they think Shai's better, other guy who wears number 1, who stands 7 feet 3 inches tall, at least, he's got it rolling in the series. He's got the advantage. And I think if you're a Thunder fan, you have to be a little nervous. You blew out Denver in Game 7 last year, to your credit. Who the heck knows what happens in Game 7 of the finals if Hallie doesn't go down? Now you got a Game 7 against a fully healthy Spurs team, certainly more healthy than OKC is at this particular point in time. Team playing with confidence. I'll tell you what, Wemby should feel great. And again, what folks like myself who are big fans of Wemby love about this guy is, it's the competitive energy and juice that honestly I'm not sure we've seen, at least from in a demonstrative sense, since Kobe Bryant, Victor Wembanyama after the game with NBC.
Johnson told me that you live for big moments like this, that you want to be on center stage. So why is this team built for moments like this?
I can't answer why. We just are. We ain't done nothing yet.
You guys held Oklahoma City to 13 third quarter points. What kind of defensive effort does it take as a team to do something like that?
Trusting the coaches, playing with effort. Thank you.
I mean, just two quick answers. That was almost, you feel like Greg Popovich coached him on that. Like, give the quickest answers possible and get the heck out of there. Pop used to be a little more passive-aggressive, to say the very least, with sideline reporters. But Wemby got out of there. He was done. And so I can't wait for tomorrow night. Listen, I picked Spurs in 7 before the series started. I figured we'd get here. And to me, these are... Of course, I can't even say the two. They were the two best teams in the regular season, obviously, 2 60-win teams. It feels disrespectful to the Knicks, who we'll get to after the break, to say, these are obviously the two best teams with the way the Knicks have been playing. One can make a strong argument the Knicks might actually be the best team. But I felt going into this postseason, this was what we get, Spurs Thunder Game 7. I kind of thought it would be like, this will be like Seattle and the Rams in the NFC Championship game. Like, this is the real Super Bowl. I don't necessarily feel that way anymore. And so I'm excited. Give me the Spurs. I think they win close. I think Wemby goes crazy. I think, again, the concerns about, he might play well in Game 6, but will he have enough juice in Game 7? He only had to play 28 minutes last night. So he's good. Like, he'll have the juice, the momentum, the energy of a Game 7. The fact that Wemby, again, 20 years old in a gold medal game against the Avengers of Team USA, led both teams in scoring and almost beat Team USA, if not for Steph Curry. The moment's not too big for this guy. I think he's going to step up. I've got the Spurs winning. Now to OKC. And again, I said at the top of the show that I was going to do something that I'm almost certain I've never done in the history of carving up. Maybe once or twice. It doesn't come to the top of my mind. Is carving up the context. We do it every Wednesday night at about 6:30 Eastern, 3:30 Pacific. So about halfway through the show, at least a half hour into the show. I've done a few on Monday. If there's been like a big weekend story, if I've missed time, from the show or taking some time off, come back. There's a big story. I do carving up the context on Monday. In this case, I was doing research on the show. I was kind of crunching numbers, looking at stuff. And I was like, this is good enough to actually kind of dub it carving up the context, because we're going a little bit deeper than just surface value, than just narrative value on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. So on this Friday, as the head coach of the Colorado Buffaloes, primetime Deion Sanders says, "Give me my theme music." On this week's edition of Carving Up the Contest, we're going to be talking about the fact that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has flatly struggled in this series against Oklahoma City and in this regular season, or rather this postseason in totality. So we can show you what he did last night. Again, opportunity to close out the San Antonio Spurs, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was not good at all. Matter of fact, he was bad. He had 15 points, 4 assists, grabbed 1 rebound. He shot 33% for the field, 0 for from downtown. He had his 3 free throws. Again, he only got to the line 3 times in this basketball game. So last night he was bad. Throughout the course of the series, he's been very mediocre. I actually saw a stat today that's showing he's shooting, I think we actually have that graphic, that he's only shooting 38% from the mid-range, 26 from 3, but he is shooting 96% from the line. He has only shot 50% from the field 1 time in this series. And again, if you look at the stats here, I think I've got StatMuse open potential. No, I guess I don't. But if you look at his shooting percentages, it's a lot of 35%, 37%. I mean, the other night in Game 5, he scored, 32 points. Half those points came on free throws. He was 16 of 17 from the free throw line. And that's been the story with Shai, is not just the foul baiting, not just the flopping, which become a big story. Wasn't really a problem last night, other than a couple of stretches where I saw him kind of fall, or Thunder players fall. Wasn't as bad as it was in Game 5. I pray to God it's not as bad in Game 7. But beyond that, a narrative that I think, without a second thought, kind of just dismiss, like, oh, that's not true. Like, that's not anything we should pay attention to, is this idea that Shai is this generation's Harden. Not in that he's like a playoff choke artist. Shai's not a choker. We know that. But that both great regular season scorers But both guys are pretty reliant on getting to the free throw line in order to be a great scorer. To which I've said, I don't know, man. Shai shoots 55% from the field. I've seen him have big playoff games in the past, which again is true. Without getting the free throw line, I've seen Shai do it before. But the more this postseason goes on, and the more some of these numbers and some of these categories continue to develop, it's like, oh, you might have to, new information, may need to change your opinion. And that applies to literally everything in life. May need to re-examine that take. So if we've got these graphics, we can just kind of show them in order. So Shai Gilgeous-Alexander scoring under 20 points. So we know he broke Wilt Chamberlain's record during the regular season for the most consecutive games scoring at least 20. And he right now is, he can't extend it until next regular season. He's stuck at 140 straight games without scoring under 20 points. So we can show you those numbers. 0 for 140 in terms of scoring under 20 in the regular season. 6 for 37 in postseason basketball. So 1 out of every 6 playoff games the last 2 years in which Shai has scored under 20 points. Now, that's not bad in and of itself, obviously, but when you compare it relative to the regular season, okay, it has you starting, to ask some questions about Shai and his potential over-reliance on the free throw line. And then you look a little bit deeper into the 6 basketball games in which Shai did not score 20 points. And what you're going to see here is minimal free throw attempts. Game 1 against the Grizzlies last year, 7 free throw attempts. Game 3 against the Nuggets last year, 5 free throw attempts. Game 3 against Minnesota last year, 7 free throw attempts. Game 1 against the Lakers, 3. Game 4 against the Spurs, 7. Game 6 against the Spurs, 3. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, for the record, averages this season 9 free throw attempts per game. And so it's like, okay, if he's under that mark, more times than not, he scores under 20. So that right there is kind of makes you raise your eyebrow a little bit. And then you look even deeper. If we have these numbers, do we have them? Yes. So I've dismissed prior to this postseason, again, the notion that, Shai needs to get some line or Shai needs to flop. Matter of fact, that's part of the reason that I've ripped Shai for flopping. Not just that it's bad for basketball, not just that it's atrocious to watch on television. Guys, I've said about Shai, he's not even trying to make basketball-like moves. He just falls, throws something in the rim, and more times than not, for whatever reason, he gets the call. He fools the officials into thinking that he got fouled. But I've said, yeah, but he also shoots 55% from the field. And I was thinking about it, I was like, well, wait a second. Maybe part of the reason, and not to say Shai's not like a great mid-range shooter, but maybe part of the reason that he shoots that percentage from the field, 55% from the field in the regular season, maybe some of that is an element of, okay, defenders know they can't come within a foot of him. They can't come near him. And if they do, he goes to the free throw line, they're in the bonus. And that's, he's got more freedom. He's got more space to be able to work with. That in and of itself is concerning. But then you look even deeper than that. Here's a stat on Shai that I could not believe. The discrepancy, if he shoots, just go and put up the graphic. If Shai shoots 8 or fewer free throws, he averages 21 a game on 41% shooting. Not good. 21 a game on bad efficiency, 41%. If he shoots more than 8 free throws per game, he averages 32 a game on 49% shooting. That is this postseason. So that's like, okay, he's over-reliant on the line, all of those different things. Like that's something that is highly concerning. Like if he doesn't get to the line, doesn't score a lot of points. Somebody that for reasons I cannot explain, certainly will never defend or even understand where the F this came from. But there have been points this season. Look at NBA Twitter. It's a lively place. You can find just about anything on there. Where a take that initially started kind of in the fringes of NBA social media started, I don't want to say to become mainstream, but it wasn't shrinking. It was starting to gain a little bit of traction as this individual player that Shai has been compared to has gotten older. Wait a second. Shai's great. Is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander? Wait a second. Is he better than Steph Curry? That has been a take on NBA social media. Look it up for yourself. It's on there. We showed you the Shai graphic. Let's put that up one more time. This postseason, 8 or fewer free throw attempts. he averages 21 a game on 41% shooting. More than 8 free throw attempts, he averages 32 a game on 49% shooting. So that's an 8% difference in field goal percentage just on free throw attempts. How many times he gets the free throw line, and an 11-point difference in terms of his scoring ability if he gets 8 or fewer free throw attempts or more than 8. Steph Curry, the guy who some on social media have said, hey, Shai might be better than this guy. Steph Curry, show that graphic for his postseason career. If Steph shoots 8 or fewer free throws, he averages 26 a game on 45% shooting. If he shoots more than 8 free throw attempts, he averages 33 a game on the exact same shooting percentage. So obviously we expect there to be a greater difference in scoring if you get more free throw attempts. That's just basic math. Steph shooting the basketball. And again, we know Steph way more of a perimeter guy than Shai is. And greatest shooter ever. So if you're shooting a bunch of threes, as great as Steph is, the percentages aren't going to be as good as guys who score down low or in the mid-range. We know that. So the gap between scoring with Steph, 8 or more free throw attempts or fewer than 8, is 7 points and the exact same percentage from the field. So he's the same guy, just scores more points when he gets to the line. Shai, when he doesn't get to the line, is not the same player and is way less efficient. Scoring goes down 11. Efficiency goes down by what was it, 10%? Sorry, 8%. Efficiency goes down 8% with Shai. With Steph, it stays the same. Scoring goes up. And so it does make you ask these questions about, okay, is this a guy who, wait a second, kind of rely on getting to the free throw line in order to be a great scorer? These questions are being asked, and they should be asked. What should also be stated, and this is not, I don't think this is debatable, because of these narratives, because the fact that, they say perception could become reality. Sometimes perception is reality. We're watching the games. We're seeing Shai fall on the floor. I remember that game 1 against the Lakers. The first half was just an utter disgrace. He would just literally, I'm not kidding, just fall on his tracks, throw something to the rim, pray for a call. To the officials' credit, they didn't give it to him. But there have been moments in this series against Phoenix, against the Lakers, the second round, where I'm not even sure if this guy is even playing basketball. You are the back-to-back league MVP. You are facing a Game 7 against a great Spurs team, but a highly inexperienced Spurs team. You're the defending champions. You're on your home floor. Shai, to this point, if we're talking about since 1960, MVPs to have the worst shooting percentage in league history in a single series, Shai's one of the worst of all time in this series against the Spurs. There you go. So Karl Malone, 1998 second round, shot 38%. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 37.9% against the Spurs. Derrick Rose, 2011, 37.1%. In the first round, Derrick Rose also in the 2011 Eastern Conference Finals, 35% for the field. The only, the worst field goal percentage in a series by a league MVP all time, Allen Iverson in the 2001 Eastern Conference Finals. But to be fair, Allen Iverson, as great as he was, God knows that guy was never efficient. Like he was a volume shooter. Part of what many of us loved about, I didn't really watch AI in his prime, but what people at the time loved about AI, man, he was a gamer. The game 1 against the Lakers, he steps over Ty Lue. That's who AI was. He was going to go down swinging. Derrick Rose, same thing. Not a very good jump shooter, relied on scoring the paint a lot, and when you're his size, it's not going to come that easily. Your field goal percentage is going to be down. Karl Malone was always a lesser player than he was in the regular season. That's the story there. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, among league MVPs all time since 1960. 4th worst shooting percentage ever in a single series. When you have that component, when you have the component of maybe you kind of are reliant on the free throw line to be a great scorer. When other contemporaries of yours, Steph Curry, one of them, who, by the way, we know, just watch the basketball games, does not even get a fraction of the respect of the whistle that Shai gets. I mean, there's literally compilations on the internet of Steph getting hammered on 3-point shots, guys getting his landing space, guys knocking to the floor. No call. Shai throws his head back, 2 free throws. Steph's the same guy. We showed you that graphic. Steph scores 7 more points per game if he shoots more than 8 free throws, or 8 or more free throws, I should say, on the same efficiency that he does if he shoots under 8 free throws a game. Same guy in terms of efficiency. He just scores 7 more points. Shai, 11 fewer points per game. Double digits difference. And an 8% gap in field goal percentage based on this postseason, whether he shoots 8 or more free throws or less than that. He's not the same guy if he doesn't get to the free throw line. So with that, with the fact that in terms of shooting percentage among league MVPs, he's the 4th worst in NBA history this series, you better win Game 7. You better win Game 7, especially add another component. Poll 100 NBA fans today. I would say majority of them would say Wemby's better than Shai. They may not say Wemby's the best player in the world. Some might still believe it's Jokic. They would tell you, majority of NBA fans, I think, would tell you, yeah, Wemby's better than Shai. It would be unanimous about who's been better in the series. Wemby's been better in everything than Shai. You will face this Spurs team in the future if you're Oklahoma City. You better get them now while you can. And so in this week's edition of Carving Up the Context, this is kind of a roundabout way of saying this is by far not even close to the biggest game of Shai's career. You could say Game 7 against last year in the NBA Finals because it's for the championship. I get that. We weren't going to say, oh, SGA's legacy or SGA's reputation is ruined if they lose Game 7. We just said, hey, big upset, but that to me would have been like disrespectful of the Pacers. In this instance, overwhelming favorites to go back-to-back league MVP. Folks are saying, man, because this guy, these are literal discussions that have happened in NBA media. Could he be a top 5 guard of all time if he wins the championship? You better step up. You better lead OKC to a win in Game 7. Because if you don't, now we're going to go to the offseason. A, you will not have a credible case to be the best player in the world. And B, without the choke artist aspect of it, is that this generation's from a play style perspective, from an over-reliance on the officials perspective, is it the 2020s version of James Harden? Those questions will be asked. Those questions should be asked. Unless Shai either makes a massive adjustment next season or in the immediate, wins Game 7, wins the championship. And does so without the nonsense that he uses to get to the free throw line that no other player in the league uses. Again, Shai, according to Tom Haberstroh, who did this study, Shai is on the floor more than Donovan Mitchell, James Harden, Victor Wembanyama, Jalen Brunson combined. When you have that, when you have the numbers that we showed you, yeah, reputations can change quick in this league. Legacies can change quick in this league. Now, they can also change in a positive direction. What you got in Game 7, Shai? We'll see. Looks like we've got some comments in here from my man Patrick Brown. Dre, D-R-A-I. I'm assuming he's referring to like it's Drake. Yeah, okay, there you go. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is worrying about a satire board game. Yeah, that was ridiculous. He brought this on himself and then assumed them as a Drake move. Again, it must be a Canadian thing. It's unbelievable. Spelling's combination of Shai and Drake worrying about the wrong stuff versus winning basketball games. Yeah, I saw that. I've heard some folks say, yeah, it's a name, image, likeness situation. I get that to a degree. We just got some breaking news for Game 7. This is from 15 minutes ago. So I was right in the middle of carving up the context, so I didn't see this. This is from Shams Charania. Oklahoma City Thunder's Jalen Williams has been ruled out for Game 7 of the Western Conference Finals against the Spurs. I got to be honest, folks. I was absolutely stunned that he played last night. Like, if the Thunder had been facing elimination in Game 6, it's like, okay, maybe see if he can give it a go. But one, if they lose, we still have a Game 7. We still live to play another day. And B, I'll be happy to, and poor Jalen Williams has dealt with this hamstring all season long. How many times have we said this? Certain injuries you can play through. Like, you can. It's more just a pain tolerance thing. Hamstrings, man, and this is what sucks about hamstrings. You know the best way to heal a hamstring? Stay off of it. Like, walk as minimally as possible, move around as minimally as possible. That's the only way to heal a hamstring, and it is the most annoying. I would argue it's the most annoying. I've had hamstring strain. It's so annoying. You just want to get better. You want to get back out there and go. It's got to heal. And I feel like Oklahoma City's been kind of rushing Jalen Williams back as quickly as they can. And now he's unavailable for game 7. And if they are to win game 7, how much can he give you in the finals? And their backup plan has been a great one. AJ Mitchell, who stepped up and played great basketball for him this year, but he's beat up. So OKC's in trouble, man. They are. Listen, I picked Spurs in 7. I still feel great about that. Nothing's happened in the series to change my belief on that. And by the way, after game 4, after the Spurs won game 4, I think OKC's going to win game 5. And then the Spurs will win the last 2. Well, halfway there. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I do want to discuss the New York Knicks. Again, it's going to be a while in between games for them. 9 days basically. Swept in game 4 against the Cavs on Monday. They won't play game 1 of the finals in San Antonio or OKC until next Wednesday. This has been a big discussion of the last few days. Who should the New York Knicks want to play in the NBA Finals? I'll give you my answer for that after the break. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Carving Up Live. Appreciate everybody for stopping by on this Friday. Before we get to the New York Knicks and who they should want to win Game 7 and play in the finals, check out our Carving It Up merch. Scan the QR code top left corner of your screen. It'll take you to the website. We got hats, we got t-shirts, we got any and everything that you can possibly imagine as it relates to repping Carving Up Live. We greatly appreciate it. If you search around the website a little bit more, you can also find merch from Barry Grant Jr., the All Even Podcast, Alfred Parsar Jr., the Metropolitan Report, the Cowboys, Cam Fan. Got some great shows on the grid. Check their merch out on the website. Or if you just want Grid Network merch, we got that too. GRYD, the Grid Podcast Network. We got hats, t-shirts, the whole bit. So we greatly appreciate if you check those things out on our website. Okay, so last basketball topic of the day, and then we'll get to a couple of NFL topics before we get out of here. So, nobody is happier other than the Spurs, because obviously the Spurs have lost, their season's over. No one is happier than the Spurs and their fans about winning Game 6 than the New York Knicks and their fans. They're like, oh, baby. I saw a stat, this is remarkable, that the Knicks from the second round on, I think this is how I read it, from the second round on, they're going to be the first team in NBA history, NBA playoff history, to face 3 straight teams who came off of Game 7. Right? Second round, they played the Sixers. Remember, they had to come back from 3-1 to beat Boston. Conference finals, they played the Cavs, who had to come back from down 2-0 on the Detroit Pistons. And then NBA finals, they'll play either OKC or San Antonio, who will have just come off a 7-game battle between those squads. Meanwhile, the Knicks, took care of Atlanta, beat the Sixers, had a week plus off. Then swept the Cavs, a week plus off. So they are going to be fresh. They're going to be ready to go. Like, there's an element, man. Whoever does win Game 7 tomorrow night, Game 1 feels like kind of a must win. Like, you could say, yeah, the Knicks will go in hoping to at least get a split in that series, because they'll be starting games 1 and 2 on the road. But man, there's a momentum shift where if you lose Game 1, it's like, oh God, you can't lose Game 2 and then go to Madison Square Garden down 2-0. The way the Knicks are playing, like the series to me will be over for either OKC or San Antonio. So Game 1, we'll talk about this more on Monday's show, regardless who wins. OKC or the Spurs have to win Game 1 next Monday. Otherwise, the momentum for the series shifts completely. And I think even the way we view the series shifts completely. So who should the Knicks want to face? And this has been a discussion. We know about this in the NBA playoffs. We know about this about sports, is that styles make fights. Like that's how it works. And I thought part of the reason that I like San Antonio to beat Oklahoma City in this 7-game series was the simple fact that I didn't think that there was anyone the Thunder could really throw at. Because the Thunder's best defenders are all wing guys, right? Lou Dort, Caruso, like they're wing guys. They can maybe limit Castle and De'Aaron Fox and guys like that. They can't stop Wemby. Now, to his credit, Isaiah Hartenstein has done a really, really good job on Shai. Not the same can't be said about Chet Holmgren, Shai's number one nemesis. They haven't had any way they can really throw at him. The Knicks can. Now, he's hurt, but he should be back for game one. Mitchell Robinson, who just had a pink injury, had some surgery on it. According to Shams, he's going to be back for game one of the finals. So that's great news for Knicks fans. Also, maybe this is me. It's easy for me, not a professional athlete, to say this. But just in terms of his role on the team, I'm like, Mitchell Robinson's not a shooter, not a scorer, and God knows with a healthy pinky, he's an atrocious free throw shooter. I don't really see his value to the Knicks is not in that, so I don't see why he would miss any time. Maybe have minutes cut, but why he would miss a ton of time in the NBA Finals, especially with as long as the Knicks have off before game one. And so, but Mitchell Robinson will be the key to the Knicks beating the Spurs should that be the finals, which I predicted back in February. That is my NBA Finals. Oklahoma City, I think the Spurs are better than OKC. I think a strong argument can be made on paper, the Knicks are probably better than OKC. Matchup-wise, I think for New York, and this is not disrespect to them because they played unreal basketball. I picked them to go to the finals. They got the job done in more dominant fashion than any of us could have thought. But as I said earlier, OKC's best defenders are perimeter guys. Cleveland's worst defenders were perimeter guys, were guards. That's why I thought the Knicks beating the Cavs, barring catastrophic injury, was almost like a foregone conclusion. Like, wait a second, Jalen Brunson gets to go one-on-one against Donovan Mitchell and James Harden for a full series? Yeah. And Jalen Brunson wins conference finals MVP. No surprise there. Whereas against OKC, they can throw Lou Dort at you. They can throw Casey Wallace at you. They can throw Alex Caruso on you. Like Brunson will still be great because he's a great player, but he will have to work harder for shots, which will make things harder for everybody else. They can also throw a big Mitchell Robinson at Wemby to, if not frustrate him, to make his job harder. Like if Isaiah Hartenstein can do it, I know Mitchell Robinson can do it. And I know he's an offensive liability on the floor. It's kind of the classic. Like there's always those, like that great center fielder in baseball who hits like 190, but is like a Gold Glover, is one of the best center fielders in baseball. I remember years ago with my Red Sox, Jackie Bradley Jr. was that guy. Man, he was like an automatic out, but if you hit the baseball anywhere in his vicinity, he was going to make a play on it. At Fenway, that's how I feel about a guy like Mitchell Robinson. Offensive liability, the Spurs or the Thunder will no doubt go to the Hacker Robinson strategy late in games if it's close. But when he's on the floor defensively, he can provide a very, very real presence against excellent bigs. He can do that against Wemby. It doesn't really matter if he does it against Chet or against, I should say it doesn't matter. It won't be as effective to the Knicks' chances of winning against Chet or Hartenstein because the best offensive players for Oklahoma City are on the perimeter. The best defenders for OKC are on the perimeter against guys like Jalen Brunson, Bridges, OG Anunoby. And so it's strange because I will almost certainly pick again, maybe this is bias showing. It probably is, so I apologize in advance. But I will almost certainly pick the Knicks to beat the Thunder in the NBA Finals, and there are plenty of reasons to pick them to do so. And I would, again, barring catastrophic injury, knock on wood, that doesn't happen. I picked Spurs to beat the Knicks in the finals back in February. Why on God's green earth would I change that now? But if you remember, there was a game back in, I think it was March. The Spurs have been on a long winning streak. It was a matinee game Sunday afternoon at the Garden. And the Knicks beat the Spurs, kind of ended their long winning streak, and gave Wemby some problems physically. And that was kind of the one major concern. A lot of folks' concern for San Antonio was experience. Mine was, can Wemby physically hold up? And that was a big concern of mine in that Timberwolves series. Like, man, Minnesota's got a lot of guys that can throw it. And they got Rudy Gobert. They got, what's my man's name? Julius Randle. They can throw my man Naz Reid at him. And Wemby, over the course of the series, took the blows, took the hits. It was great in game 5. Spurs ended up winning in 6. Like, he withstood that. Against the Knicks, they can throw Cat at him, obviously. But Robinson's the only real guy who can kind of give Wemby problems. But that's more than what Oklahoma City can have to throw at Victor Wembanyama at this point in time now. So Wemby would struggle more to me, at least at the beginning of the finals against the Knicks, than he has against the Oklahoma City Thunder. So roundabout way of saying, I think the Knicks should root for San Antonio to win this series, to win Game 7. on Saturday night. I think there's an element of styles make fights. I think the Spurs are better than OKC, but I think OKC matches up better with New York than the Spurs do. So either way, regardless who wins, I think we're getting a long series. I think we're going 6 or 7 games, regardless of when the conference finals and plays the Knicks. So it'll be fun. To the NFL, and before we get to the stories in Minnesota with the Vikings quarterback situation, which just JJ McCarthy's not exactly painting himself and covering himself in glory. And then some AJ Brown news. I did see this came out like right before the show today, and I didn't really have time to prep for it or get the sound bites and what have you. We discussed, it's been a story over the last week. We discussed on Wednesday on Carving Up the Context, the whole Jackson Dart introducing Trump at a rally thing. Again, if you want my full take on that, it's on the social media, or it's on the YouTube channel, short clips, or on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. My social media handles are below if you're watching live right now. But today we got a new development because at OTAs, Giants OTAs, both Jackson Dart and Abdul Carter both spoke to the media, and Jackson Dart spoke. I watched both clips. Jackson Dart spoke for like probably 4 minutes. It felt like it was pre-planned remarks. He'd written it down. His whole thing was basically, I love this country. I've had people in my family serve in the military, to which that would say yes. And a lot of Black people can say the same thing. That's not unique to you. And he also said, and I give him credit for this, I love every one of my teammates. What's great about sports, the ability for, and I literally said this on Wednesday's show, is the ability for guys to have camaraderie from different backgrounds to come together for one common goal, and that's to win. Like that's what's great about sports. I think I've said many times on the show, I think basically every aspect of society could learn from sports in that regard. Is people from different backgrounds with different beliefs, different ideologies coming together for one common goal. We don't see that enough in society the way that we used to. Sports still represents that, and I think that's one of the beautiful things about sports. And so that was basically the method of what the message of what Jackson Dart said. Abdul Carter was much shorter. I think it was like a 25-second bite, but more, I think, kind of firm in his stance and what he tweeted last week regarding Jackson Dart. He said, if we can pull up actually Abdul Carter's, we may not have the sound bite, but I know we can at the very least get the quote. So again, we're doing this live on air, but I figure I might as well discuss it since we did a 20-minute segment on it on Wednesday. Abdul Carter. Okay, so we got the quotes from both men. So Abdul Carter said, and I quote, some things are bigger than football, and this is one of those things. Jackson is one of our leaders. He's the face of our franchise. He not only represents himself in what he does, but he represents all of us. And that goes for anybody who wears a Giants uniform. But if he chooses to align himself with a man like President Trump, it's my responsibility, based on what I believe and what I stand on, to not only show my teammates that I'm against that, but to show the world. That doesn't mean we have to spread hate. That doesn't mean me and Jackson hate each other or we have beef. And so and Dart, his exact quote was, I also understand that in this world, politics can be a sensitive matter, a sensitive topic. I also understand that I'm the quarterback of the New York Giants. That involves a lot of responsibility, and it's under a limelight, under a microscope. And there's a lot that comes with that. And it's been something that I've embraced. And he's had a lot of honest conversations with the team. And those details remain private between me and my teammates. So on the Abdul Carter aspect of this, and I'm sure inevitably he's getting crushed, I think those who fail to comprehend what Abdul Carter is saying are also those who fail to grasp the fact that a saying, it's not my saying, but something I say just about every show, is that two things can be true. Abdul Carter can say and believe and act out that Jackson's our quarterback, Jackson's our leader, we're rallying behind him. Like we are, none of what's happened off the field is going to change our mindset of what we're trying to do as a team. And also, off the field, I vehemently disagree with what he did on Friday night and the man that he supports. Both can be true. Both can be true. I mean, like that's the reality of it. This whole situation stemming from Dart introducing Trump, Abdul Carter tweeting what he did. He's like, I hope this is AI. I can't believe that he did this. Both of which will cause unnecessary distractions in the Giants locker room. Again, I'll be honest, I'm not quite as, even before this, I wasn't signing the Giants as a lot of people seem to be. Like, hey, they could be maybe a playoff team this year in the NFC. I don't buy that in 2026. We'll see, but this is to me, it comes down to Jackson Dart had a lapse in judgment in the sense that doing what he did, he's got every right to do it. As I said on Wednesday's show, defend his right to do it. There are consequences as it pertains to distractions that could cause the New York Giants. Like that's what that is. Quarterbacks, not even just being apolitical, because of course quarterbacks have political beliefs. Some have even voiced them here and there. Colin Kaepernick was the most vocal. By and large, the quarterback position needs to be kind of the least, needs to be like the least controversial guy on the team. Wide receivers doesn't matter. Running backs, offensive linemen, linebackers, DBs, heck, even position coaches, coordinators, kind of doesn't matter. Quarterback, it does, because everybody's looking to you. And Abdul Carter says, hey, that's not what Jackson did, how Jackson sees the world or who he supports. That's not going to change how we operate as a football team. That's not going to change the fact that our goal together, we have the same mission, win football games and perform to the best of our ability for the New York Football Giants. But it also does not change how I feel about Donald Trump. And I appreciate Abdul Carter being transparent about that. I do. I appreciate Jackson Dart being transparent in his own right. And so Giants will move forward. We'll see how it plays out. But for my full take, again, that to me, the Giants piece of it was, unless you're a Giants fan, the smaller aspect of it. The much larger story was how the media covered this as opposed to how they've covered other events. And as it pertains to athletes speaking about politics, I discussed that in my video. Feel free to check out on the YouTube channel. Feel free to check out the short clips. Again, social media handles are down there: TikTok, X, Instagram. It's on YouTube Shorts. Feel free to check it out. All right, back to our regular scheduled programming. So we knew that Minnesota, and it's part of the reason they fired their GM, well, one of the many reasons they fired their GM, that they made one of the worst offseason moves in recent NFL history of letting go of Sam Darnold, who then goes to the Seattle Seahawks. And again, folks trying to make it out like, oh, Darnold was just this, it was just a side character. Sam Darnold had 0 turnovers, and not only that, they do not get to the Super Bowl if he does not play the way he plays in the NFC Championship game, which is outplaying Matthew Stafford, who was great in his own right in that game. So Sam Darnold was a critical part in the Seahawks doing what they did and winning the Super Bowl. It was so bad of a call because A, what Darnold did, and B, what J.J. McCarthy did not do as a first-round pick, that and I think a lot of people were kind of confused why they made that pick in 2024. So J.J. McCarthy now has competition. Matter of fact, I would argue, based on the depth chart, based on how reporters in Minnesota are talking about the current quarterback situation, he's in the passenger seat of this ordeal. Like Kyler Murray right now, barring something disastrous or shocking, Kyler Murray is going to be the starter for the Vikings in week 1. So they were both asked, Kyler, because right now OTAs are going on. Kyler Murray and J.J. McCarthy were both asked about the situations regarding their relationship and how they're getting along and what have you. Kyler Murray said this, and I quote, about working with McCarthy. Kyler Murray: "It's been great. Obviously, I know he's a younger guy, so any way that I can help him. I've played 7 years now, going on to 8, so I'm considered a veteran, even though I don't see myself as that. Give him any knowledge that he needs. Again, we're both competitors, and I know that we both want what's best for the team." And J.J. McCarthy was asked about his dynamic with Kyler. His response was quite different. "It's just like two guys in a classroom. He sits on one side, I sit on the other side, and it's the coach's responsibility to teach us and coach us." So Kyler says, yeah, I'm teaching what I can. I'm trying to interact with the kid. I'm the veteran. He's the young guy, try and pass what I know to him. And JJ says, yeah, we're like, I'm here, he's here. Like we are not terribly close. Going back to, it's funny, we just mentioned Jackson Dart. Going back to quarterbacks need to say the right thing at all times. That probably is the worst possible answer that J.J. McCarthy could have given, other than, yeah, I can't stand Kyler, which he obviously would have never said that. Because if you are a J.J. McCarthy, if you are somebody who has the expectations like, hey, we let go of Sam Darnold, who won 14 games for us a year, who was, or 2 years ago, I should say, who was a legitimate MVP candidate, we expect you to be the guy that we spent a first-round pick on and be our franchise quarterback. And J.J. McCarthy a year ago, again, I've got the numbers here. He had 11 touchdowns, 12 picks. He had a QBR 0 to 100 of 35. He had a passer rating of 72. Like, he was bad. And by the way, couldn't struggle with injuries, which was a concern when he came into the league, with size, durability. Now a concern is, okay, how does he handle the press? How does he handle the media? And Kyler Murray, by the way, in his own right, hasn't always been the best from a maturity standpoint. But if it comes down to the two, if we have maturity questions or PR questions with Kyler and JJ, Kyler's winning out because he's the better player. And Kevin O'Connell's somebody who people in Minnesota have kind of soured on O'Connell. There's an element, as a Steelers fan, I kind of get that. It's like, yeah, the media tells you how great of a coach you have, but that coach can't win a playoff game. My response would be between Tomlin and KOC. Kevin O'Connell is somebody who is great on his side of the ball, gets the most out of his quarterbacks. Tomlin at the end did not get the most out of his defenses. Like, that to me is the difference. And by the way, Minnesota's at least been close in some of their playoff games. Same cannot be said about the Pittsburgh Steelers. So O'Connell's going to go with the guy that can win right now. And especially the fact that Kyler is on a cheap deal, is on a bargain contract with the weapons that they've got in Minnesota. Like, this is kind of O'Connell's not in the hot seat, nor do I think he should be. But it is going to be a situation where if McCarthy were the starter and you're off to like a 3-5 start and McCarthy has improved drastically from last year, coach and quarterback are both going to be the fall guys. Like, that's just what it is. And so also the aspect of, hey, Darnold wasn't good anywhere except for Minnesota. Well, now that's not true because he went to Seattle, won the Super Bowl, and had an excellent season. So McCarthy saying this, I think, was a big lapse in judgment. It's not to say that this should be hugging and kissing and singing Kumbaya, that he should say Kyler's my best friend and there's no one else I'd rather have in the quarterback room than Kyler. But also, there's got to be somewhere in between that and, yeah, I sit over here, he sits over here. And it's the quarterback's job to teach us. The quarterback coach's job to teach us. Doesn't help the Minnesota Vikings' current situation as we sit here today. So I saw that, and I thought that was a real lapse in judgment on the part of JJ. Last topic before we get out of here, because this is something, today is what, May 29th. So we are 3 days away from June 1st. And June 1st is notable in that it's the day that a trade can be made between the Philadelphia Eagles and the New England Patriots involving A.J. Brown. So we've known, and it was, I think, the deal was sealed. We knew about the relationship between A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts, and that had deteriorated, and A.J. Brown's role in the offense had shrunk as time went on. I have felt, going back to last season, that the Philadelphia Eagles will be better off. They'll have more clarity in what they need to do as an offense and what their identity will be if A.J. Brown's not on the team. They all but sealed that by taking Mekhi Lemon. By trading up, getting the 20th pick, taking Mekhi Lemon in the first round. Like, it's like, okay, it's going to be Mekhi Lemon, Devontae Smith, Goddard. They drafted, I think, the tight end out of Vanderbilt, Eli Stower. Like, they moved on from A.J. Brown based on what they've done this offseason. The question is, does he get moved to New England, which has felt like kind of a done deal? The problem is, according to some reports, it's kind of stalled a bit in terms of the terms of the trade. Both teams aren't necessarily on the same page. And the Patriots are in a bad spot where it's, okay, Stephon Diggs is gone. Now, I guess they could bring him back if they wanted to. Diggs is still out, available in free agency, was found not guilty, all those things. So Diggs could get signed any day now. I imagine the Patriots and Diggs, maybe they try and come back together. If they get desperate enough, we'll see. I imagine Diggs will have suitors. He had a good season last year. But you look at a Patriots wide receiving depth chart where I remember a few years ago, the Patriots had by far the worst receiving core in football. It certainly is not that, but it's fine. A lot of good number two guys, Keyshawn Boutte, Romeo Doubs, like Matt Collins, like good players, good productive NFL receivers. Not a true number one. Like they don't have it. They had it last year with Stephon Diggs. Obviously, he and A.J. Brown are different players, and A.J. Brown's a better player than Stephon Diggs is today. But they don't have the one today. And because Howie Roseman's in a position where he's one of the best GMs in football and he's in the catbird seat when it comes to this negotiation, because I'm sure other teams are calling Philadelphia, hey, what would you give us? What would you take for A.J. Brown? I think this becomes really, this has been a disastrous offseason on a number of fronts for the Patriots. The Vrabel situation, the fact that their schedule, we knew this coming in, but was going to be absolutely hell for them, especially compared to last year when they had the 8th easiest schedule in NFL history since the merger. All of those things factor into, do they have to get desperate in order to get A.J. Brown? And if they do, they might still get him, get Drake May the number one, and now the offense is excellent, but also it screws you for the future. And A.J. Brown's not necessarily getting younger as a receiver. He's still an elite player, I think. But in 2 years, will he be? And maybe you could use those draft picks that will now be going to Philly. So I think this is, I would not be shocked in the slightest, I'll be completely honest with you guys, if A.J. Brown, I suggested this a few months ago, and it doesn't look like this is going to happen now, but when Puka Nacua, when all the trouble he was getting into and the off-field stuff, my mindset was, okay, this is kind of the Rams are an OBS organization, and this is a win-now year for the Rams based on the moves that they made this offseason, other than taking, obviously, Ty Simpson. Could they make the move for A.J. Brown? Where it's A.J. Brown and move on from Puka Nacua if he's more trouble than he's worth off the field. Now, that would have to be a lot of trouble because he's an awesome player when he's on the field healthy. That's not going to happen now, I don't think. Again, Puka, by and large, seemed like he's fine the last couple of months. He's in OTAs. He's participating with the Rams. I don't think that's going to be an issue. If it does, then maybe those discussions could come back up. But you just look at teams around the NFL. I mean, Kansas City is looking for a number one receiver. Could they go after A.J. Brown? Could a team like the Baltimore Ravens go after A.J. Brown? It's going to be fascinating to see how this plays out. The Buffalo Bills, of course, I guess Buffalo went and got DJ Moore, so that's off the table. But let's put it this way. I think A.J. to the Patriots is not a foregone conclusion. I don't think that's as much of a home run bet as it looked a month ago, 3 months ago, 5 months ago. I mean, A.J. Brown was on a podcast. It was on Julian Edelman's podcast, which, by the way, is honestly one of my favorite football podcasts out there. He does a great job. A.J. Brown, I think Games with the Names is what it's called. A.J. Brown was on that podcast, and they were talking about the Patriots and whatever, and Edelman said, once a Patriot, always a Patriot, and this is very good at selective editing on the part of Games with Names with Edelman. They show A.J. Brown sitting there. He kind of winks to the camera. It's like, oh, okay, he probably knows something about what Philadelphia and New England are trying to do here. And he's also posting videos on social media of Edelman sending him a signed jersey. He's like, yeah, this is cool. And obviously he and Edelman wear the same number, 11. It's like, oh, is this going in a certain direction for him to go to New England? Now I don't think that's a foregone conclusion. And so here's what I'll say. And this is the last thing I'll say, then we'll get out of here. AJ to Philadelphia, AJ staying in Philadelphia, I don't think he'll be on the Eagles in week 1. I think it is very possible, very much on the board, if this New England thing stalls, if New England's not willing to be desperate to go out and get him the way Philadelphia would want them to, because they're in the prime negotiating position, because New England doesn't have a number one receiver. If A.J. Brown is in Philadelphia during training camp, unless he just stays home, which he very well could do, that is a weird dynamic. Because it's going to be a new offense with Sean Mannion coming in to be your OC. We know about the disconnect he has with Hurts. And Philadelphia is going to want to develop Mekhi Lemon into being their number one receiver. He probably won't be right off the bat, kind of like when the Cowboys drafted CeeDee Lamb. Like, he wasn't the number one receiver off the bat. It was still like Amari Cooper. About CeeDee's, I guess Amari Cooper was off the Cowboys in 2022, if I'm not mistaken. So by year 3, CeeDee was the number one guy in Dallas, and he's been great since. If they want to ease Mekhi Lemon in, that probably means Devontae Smith's going to be wide receiver 1. But if A.J. Brown's there, if he decides not to sit out, well, then A.J. Brown's the 1. Devontae's the 2, which he's been since he's been in Philly. Then what with Mekhi Lemon? Like, we could see this thing get really, really strange as if it hasn't been enough. I don't know, man. I know Howie Roseman wants to get this done before training camp starts. That I do know. So we'll see how it plays out. I think Kansas City and Baltimore are very much on the board for A.J. Brown. Again, opposite conference. That's part of the appeal of trading him to New England, is you don't have to face him every year or worry about him unless you face him in the Super Bowl. Howie Roseman's in the prime bargaining seat. We'll see how it plays out. All right, that is all the time we have for today's episode of Carving Up Live. Be sure to catch us on Monday night at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific time, right here on YouTube, as well as on Twitch, X, Facebook, and IG. Thanks, everybody, for stopping by the show. I'm super duper duper excited for Game 7 tomorrow night. Spurs Thunder. I had Spurs winning the finals before the playoffs started. I had the Spurs beating Oklahoma City in 7 games. We've got that. Wemby's going to show up and show out. I think that the pressure with Oklahoma City is going to get to them. I think the fact that Shai has been as over-reliant as he's been in a scoring in terms of getting to the free throw line is going to factor. And I think with the way the flopping stuff has been such a story, I think there's going to be so much pressure on the officials too for this not to get out of hand that they'll do what they've done at points, not give Shai the calls. Here's what I know. He's not shooting 17 free throws like he did in game 5. That's not going to happen. So I got Spurs in a close game. I'm going to say something like, let's go. It's a tough defensive game. A lot of game 7 pressure. A lot of game 7s are low scoring. I'm going to say 102-97. 102-97. Spurs win. Wemby goes for 30 and 10 with 4 blocks. That's my prediction. Spurs in 7, and we get a Spurs Knicks NBA Finals, which I predicted all the way back in February. We're going to see it happen. All right, hope everyone has a great weekend. Please continue to stay safe out there. God bless y'all. Peace out. I'm jealous of Philly and these contenders. They got a chance to win a Super Bowl. My Steelers are still stuck in mediocrity. Oh my goodness.
The best 2 words in sports. Game 7.
Thanks so much for watching the show on YouTube, and be sure to go click that big red subscribe button and check out the other clips and full shows from Carving It Up Live, as well as our other incredible content creators here on the Grid Network.